Hi there! Welcome to the Musical Theater Madness Bracket, brought to you by New Line Theater. www.newlinetheater.com for tickets and info. Joining me as always is Scott Miller, Artistic Director of New Line Theater. Scott, help us make sense of this year's bracket and try to determine which individual has made the greatest contribution to musical theater.
Well, I will try.
Before we get into some of these initial matchups, let's talk about the bracket itself. A few of these seedings had to come as a surprise, right? I mean, for example, I don't think anyone could have seen Joe Iconis as a 6th seed. What explains his meteoric rise?
Well, you know, a lot of us have been following him for years, but the sudden and unexpected success of Be More Chill is pretty much everything right now.
Indeed. And it was curious to see Leslie Odom Jr. sneak into the bracket with a 16 seed, particularly with Lin-Manuel in the East looming as a number 1. But the matchup just wasn't meant to be, and what a matchup it would have been, particularly when you think about their storied past.
Yeah, well, sometimes one shot is all it takes.
Oh, true. Scott, who were you most surprised to see left out of this year's bracket?
Well, I think everybody was surprised that Harnick and Bach aren't there, but Bernadette Peters is the big surprise. Everybody loves her, but, you know, these new faces has come out of nowhere to make it in.
So they do. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to our Musical Theater Madness Breakdown. I'm your host, Colin Vaughn, alongside Scott Miller, Artistic Director of New Line Theater. Okay. I know we talk about this every year, but 12 seeds have such a habit of upsetting 5s that it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point. So which one of this year's 12s do you think has the best chance to move on to the second round?
You know, I'd have to say Andre DeShields against Oscar Hammerstein. DeShields has done a lot of great work. Right now he's doing Hadestown, which is a show we're very excited about. And really, Hammerstein just hasn't shown us that much lately.
Shiver Me Timbers! In the Southwest, Alex Timbers is slated to tip off against Comden and Green. They still have enough staying power to make it into the show year in and year out. Scott, how do you see this one playing out?
Well, everybody loves a new face, and I think we kind of take Comden and Green for granted at this point. I think it's Alex Timbers.
Staying in the same region for a second, how about Jen Ashley Tepper in the 9 spot? You think she'll be able to stand up to the constant double team from Pasek and Paul?
Well, Pasek and Paul are favorites, no doubt. It's been fun watching their evolution as writers over time, but how do you go up against Jen Tepper? She's a Broadway producer, she runs 54 Below, she writes books, she produces cast albums, and she's largely responsible for Be More Chill right now. I don't think you can beat that.
She's an all-star. Now let's talk about the matchup in the Southeast that everyone's talking about, the Battle of Wills. Finn versus Shakespeare in the 10-7 spot. Sure, the old boy has more wins on his resume, but it's what you do when the lights are on that matters. Scott, your thoughts?
Well, you know, Shakespeare's a talented guy, but it seems like he always needs somebody to help him get that musical finished. Bill Finn writes both music and lyrics, so I'd have to give the edge to Finn.
We're running out of time, but let's do a couple of quick hits on some of the names who have been seen in our programs for years. Cheetah Rivera versus Tommy Tune.
I have to go with Cheetah Rivera.
Leonard Bernstein versus Rodgers and Hart.
Absolutely Bernstein.
Interesting. As always, thanks to our guest Scott Miller for his valuable insight. Nobody can break down a bootleg like this guy. We'll see you soon to talk about the next round. Please set your phones to silent mode and break a leg, everybody.
Good night.